Welcome to Park Naomh Conaill, the home of Glenswilly GAA, where shortly we will bring you live coverage of the Glenswilly v Naomh Conaill Senior Football Championship game, sponsored by Michael Murphy Sports, and we hope you enjoy our coverage. This evening we're joined by inter-county referee and Gael Fanada ref Mark Dorian. Mark, thank you very much first of all for joining us. I suppose you've had more experience with the enhanced rules than most, having been involved at the inter-county level. What are the key things that you would like to point out to people when it comes to the club championship refereeing?
I suppose it's a different level, and there's more help now as well. These games as well with linesmen, and I'll have my 4 umpires with me today as well. It's just to bear in mind that a lot of the referees are just getting to grips with them, and the players now again are getting to grips with them as well, especially with inter-county players coming back into it. So it's just to bear that in mind whenever you are watching the games, and just to take it easy on us.
And what are the main things you're looking for in a game of this level, given that it's first round, but they're two very, very strong teams?
I suppose it's just that the players are listening to you, you're explaining it to them, and that they understand where you're coming from as well, and that they can, that the game will flow hopefully, and that the two teams will go at it then as well.
Overall, do you find the enhanced rules more pressure for referees, and does it require more physicality and demands during a game?
It definitely requires more physicality. There's a lot more running in it, especially with the solo and go. It's a lot more difficult with the 3 up, 3 back, or 3 up, 4 back rule. But other than that, they've definitely enhanced the game an awful lot. So they definitely have.
That's great. Thank you very much, Mark. We appreciate your time. We'll shortly be handing you over to our commentators for this evening, who are Diarmuid Doherty and Brendan Kilcoyne. They'll be back soon with team news. Enjoy the game, and thank you.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we cater for everyone, from top sporting athletes to relaxed casual sporting individuals and everyone in between. We also provide a large range of teamwear services and cater for schools and clubs. Orders can be customised to your specification to suit your individual needs. From clothing to equipment, we've got you covered.
Good evening and welcome along to Park Naomh Conaill here in Glenswilly. It's the opening weekend of the Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure Senior Football Championship here in Donegal, and this evening on Donegal GAA TV, our game is Glenswilly and Naomh Conaill. An intriguing pairing for the first round. Two sides who have enjoyed some memorable battles in recent seasons, and there's no doubt this match is one of the standout games from the 8 first round ties taking place this evening and tomorrow. Joining me on commentary this evening is former St Eunan's and Sligo footballer Brendan Kilcoyne. And Brendan, we're all only really recovering from Donegal's run to that All-Ireland final, but all of a sudden the club championship is upon us.
Yes, certainly, Diarmuid. Listen, we had a brilliant summer. We had a fantastic summer following Donegal around. Ultimately ended in disappointment on All-Ireland final day, but the fun was good all summer, and Donegal gave us a great run. But as you say, we're back to the bread and butter stuff here now, so we are, Diarmuid, and we're looking forward to a really good game between these two teams, which would both have aspirations on land in the Dr. Maguire Cup later on in the year. I think today's game won't be a defining game in that respect, but it'll be interesting to see how both teams set up. You look at both team squads, we have them here in front of us, Diarmuid, and neither team are at full strength. Obviously Kieran Thompson isn't lining out for Naomh Conaill, or Jack McKelvey is also away in his travels, I believe, as is, Glenswilly are nearly at full strength, apart from the man, the mountain that is Michael Murphy. He's away on holiday, so he's missing today. But apart from that, both teams look pretty strong, and we're looking forward to a really good game, Diarmuid.
Yeah, we'll go through the teams in a second or two, Brendan. And just looking around us here, it's a lovely evening. It's cold tonight here in Glenswilly, but a big crowd in attendance for this one, and it's always a great venue on Championship weekend.
Yeah, it certainly does create a great atmosphere here. So it does, Diarmuid. The crowd are right on top of the pitch, standing on the rails around the pitch. So they are. So of that, there's no doubt that there'll be plenty of noise and there'll be plenty of excitement about if the game is tight. So as you say, great place for a game. The pitch looks fantastic. So there's strong breeze blowing towards the kind of town goals, the Letterkenny town goals, coming from the Brina side. So there is, Diarmuid. So that obviously have a big impact. We saw in the reserve game beforehand, Glenswilly had a big lead at half time, I think 11 points to 4. That was pegged back, and Naomh Conaill ultimately won the reserve game by a point. So strong breeze, that will be a factor today also.
Yeah, that reserve game finished not that long long ago, and it finished, as Brendan says, in a 1-point victory for the visitors. It was Glenswilly 13 points, Naomh Conaill 1 goal and 11 points. So now attention's turned to the senior game, which due to throw in at 7:30. So no sign of any of these teams just getting ready just yet. They're still going through their respective warm-ups. So that gives us an opportunity to run down through both starting 15s. We'll start with Glenswilly then, and Keelan Kelly is in goal. It's a full back line of Ryan Diver, Sean McCollum and Cormac Callaghan. The half back line is made up of Jake Kelly, Jack Gallagher and Donald Gallagher. At midfield it's Keelan Dunleavy and Jamie McCauley. At half forward line it's Podrick Devine, Oisin McGrenra and Reid Kelly. And at full forward it's Jared McFadden, Owen Scott and Dahi Gilday. A very young starting 15, Brendan, but no doubt about it, bags of talent in there.
Huge amount of talent. So there are, when you look at that half back line, the two Gallagher brothers, two really strong, aggressive, tenacious defenders, can also get in the front foot and give Glenswilly something up the field. But as you said, a really, really young team, and particularly without the influential Michael Murphy been there, they've obviously relying on their youth. They've played this team most of the way through the league, so they'll have got a lot of experience from that. But as we know, Championship is a different ball game completely, Jeremy, and a big test for a lot of these young fellas stepping up today. Lucky enough to have worked with a lot of them, I suppose, at minor and under 20 level over the last number of years, so I know a lot of them fairly well. And they're all good footballers and well capable of competing at this level.
Okay, so it's probably fair to say Naomh Conaill bringing a wee bit more experience, certainly at championship level and senior level, and they start this evening with Stephen McGrath in goal. Their full back line is Logan Quinn, AJ Gallagher and Jason Campbell. On the half back line it's Max Campbell, Keelan McGill and Kevin McGettigan. At midfield it's Neil Francis Boyle and Leo Dunphy. On the half forward line it's Brendan McDyer, John O'Malley and Owen Doherty, and then up top it's Shay Malone, Kieran Gallagher and Owen McGettigan.
Yes, yeah, again, a very strong team. Again, it's a changed team. Maybe, there's no Anthony Thompson, there's no Liam McClune, there's no Kieran Thompson in that, but it's still and we know the quality that Naomh Conaill possess, and, they've such strength and depth, and you look at the likes of young players coming through. Of course, there's no Finbar Rorty today either. He's another notable absentee, so you look at the likes of Max Campbell coming in to this team, a fantastic player, had a brilliant season with the Donegal under-20s, who were narrowly beaten by Tyrone after extra time in the Ulster final. Tyrone subsequently going on to win the All-Ireland, so he's definitely one player to watch. And then playing right outside of him, the hugely experienced Brendy McDyer. He must be going into his 20th year playing senior football at this level, and no sign of any slowdown with Brendy, and fantastic footballer. So a lot of real talent. Also excited to see Owen McGettigan back playing top of the left for Naomh Conaill. Has gone through an awful lot of injuries. He was involved in Jim McGuinness's Donegal extended squad this year, coming back from a couple of cruciate injuries, so be exciting to see him back. He was a real prodigious talent going back a number of years, so looking forward to seeing him playing again tonight, Jeremy.
Okay, so the match referee Mark Dorian of the Gael Anada club has gone through the pre-match routine with the respective captains. Naomh Conaill captained by John O'Malley, and Jack Gallagher at centre half back will captain Glenswilly. And Mark Dorian's linesmen tonight are Pat Barrett of the Milford club and Charlie Creevy of Gael Letcher-Cannon. And the umpires down there just getting ready to go behind their respective nets as well, as we're almost ready to go here. This is an interesting one, this, because two sides that certainly enjoyed very impressive league campaigns. Brendan's not that long ago since the league campaign finished. Glenswilly enjoyed one of their best league campaigns, I think. I was speaking to Gary McDade, their manager, during the week, and he was very happy. Naomh Conaill finished third in the league, Glenswilly fourth, and they actually played out a very exciting draw back in April, a game that was heading the way of Glenswilly for long in that contest, until Naomh Conaill actually introduced off the bench, Kieran Gallagher, wasn't it, came back off the bench,
right, yeah.
Scored 2 goals that day, and helped Naomh Conaill back into the game, and they ended up level.
Yeah, they're certainly glad to have Kieran Gallagher back in the squad. He was away travelling for a couple of years, a big guy playing on the edge of the square, so he's going to be a huge addition to them back. Of course, they also have Max Campbell, as I mentioned, introduced to the team, Owen McGettigan, so they will be a lot stronger than they were maybe last year. They have them players will make a huge difference to them. And just an interesting fact, Jeremy, Naomh Conaill have a great record of winning games in multiples of 5, winning county championship in multiple of 5. They won it in 5 they won it in 2010, they won it in 2015, they won it in 2020. So will that be an onus for them or an omen for them going on later on this year? So they've been one of the most consistent team, if not the most consistent team in Donegal club football over the last number of years. So I'm sure they'll have their sights after going out to St. Eunan's in the quarter final last year and going the whole way this year, and you can be sure that they'll be very well prepared under the tutelage of their manager, and as will Glenswilly under Gary McDade.
Yeah, and it's a long road to the final, isn't it, Brendan? We all starts all this weekend, and when you look back at last year, Glenswilly ended up actually topping the league stages. Yes. 4 wins from 4 games, got through straight into a quarter final, only to lose to Dunlow. So, while it's very important to do well in these group matches, it's not a disaster to go into a preliminary quarter final tie.
No, it's not the be all and end all, for the team that doesn't win here tonight, or it definitely isn't Dermot from the point of view that the 4 games. Now, I suppose a lot of teams will look at it that after the first couple of games that they don't want to be going into the 3rd and 4th game on 0 points, and that kind of will bring a lot of pressure in itself. But I would expect both these sides to be at the latter stages of the championship if they're kept apart from the big guns, and both of them, as I mentioned earlier on, Dermot will have aspirations on going the whole way, so they would. And tonight he'll give us an idea of where they're at, but there's a lot more to come from both sides, you would imagine.
Okay, so I think there's going to be one change perhaps on the Naomh Conaill team. We'll get that confirmed for you. Or is it on the Glenswilly team? We're just getting messages through here to the press area.
We'll Anthony Thompson that's coming in for Kieran Gallagher. So we spoke about Kieran Gallagher. Obviously must have picked up a knock or something. And the very experienced Anthony Thompson, who of course was a stalwart in the Donegal 2012 team that brought Sam Maguire back to the county, makes a start.
Okay, so there you go. So we talked Kieran Gallagher up, but unfortunately he's not in a position to start this game. So almost ready to go here. And Mark Dorian just checking round to make sure everything is in order.
That looks awful like Leo McClune in full forward, and he wasn't named in the starting team either, so he must be in. Is that Neil Francis Boyle in the middle?
Yeah. Okay, so we're up and running. Yeah. And we'll just confirm that as well. That is definitely Leo McClune in there. And it's Naomh Conaill who have possession early on, and they're attacking from left to right as we look down from the press area, which is located opposite the main dressing rooms, opposite the club rooms here at Park Naomh Columba, and the pitch looking in really, really good condition as Owen Doherty and Keelan McGill get hands on the ball for the first time in this Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure Senior Championship encounter. By the way, a result from earlier on in the Senior Championship, the first of this year's games was played down at Eamon Byrne Memorial Park in Killybegs, and it ended in victory for Killybegs against Termon. A good result. Killybegs 1 goal and 12 points, Termon 8 points. A Killybegs team that included Hugh McFadden and Owen Van Gallagher in that starting 15 today. Brendan, certainly a notable result.
Yeah, huge result for Killybegs, and we always know the Finch was a very tough place to go to, Dermot. So for Killybegs, who had a poor league campaign, obviously without the service of Hugh McFadden and Owen Ban, to come out and beat the league current league champions Termon, who were in the crest of a wave after winning their first league title there only a couple of weeks ago. So a big disappointment for Termon, but what a win for Killybegs.
Tell you what, it's certainly a good start to this game from Naomh Conaill, who have enjoyed all the possession. There's the first effort coming in on goal from Max Campbell, but that one drifts wide, and just an early indication as well of the strength of the wind, because John O'Malley had a pop on goal too, and it really caught in the wind, didn't it? But they were able to recycle, retrieve possession, and unfortunately for Max Campbell, he just pushed it a wee bit far to the right hand side, and that's the first wide of the evening.
Yeah, first wide of the evening. Again, good work from Naomh Conaill to work the scoring opportunity. Max Campbell was left in yards of space out on the far side, tried to swing it over, but as you say, the wind got hold of it and just didn't get over, and it will be difficult to score into these goals, so it will in the first half.
Okay, Naomh Conaill are coming down again with possession down the left hand side. That's after Anthony Thompson got his hand to Keelan Kelly's long kick out, which reached over halfway, and Glenswilly, perhaps a chance for them to gain some possession and mount an attack. They've been awarded a free just inside their own 45, and the referee Mark Dorian not happy with what went on there. I think there might have been a little tug on the jersey from Anthony Thompson, and Mark Dorian saw what happened, and he was quick to intervene and give Glenswilly a free. So perhaps first chance for them now to build an attack, Brendan.
Yeah, first chance to build an attack, and you've that Donald Gallagher on the ball, really quality player again, was part of the Donegal under-20 squad that got the Ulster final this year, had been injured for a lot of the year, came back and played in the final, played a role in the final, so Glenswilly will be back to have him in full flow.
And he's the younger brother of Jack Gallagher, their captain, who is in possession there, and he's involved in this patient move, patient build-up. Glenswilly in no real rush to pop her inside just yet. Here's Reid Kelly, hand pass to Jared McFadden, and high ball comes in, and they like the look of that. The umpire's going for his white flag.
Looks like a score.
That's the opening score for Glenswilly.
First score for Glenswilly again, really good, well worked score. So it was taking advantage of the wind. I think it was number 8 Keelan Dunleavy that put it over the bar eventually. So it was after some good work. Dahi Gildea involved, played the ball around, and then Keelan Dunleavy had a simple task of putting it over from inside the D for the first score of the game to settle Glenswilly nerves. Okay,
Gary McFadden involved in that, and he's kind of lining out at full forward, himself and AJ Gallagher ready to do battle, two experienced campaigners, and Stephen McGrath is just looking to see what his options are. He decides to go long over towards the left hand flank once again, but that's well fetched by Glenswilly, so they're back in possession. Gary McFadden feeds it off, and just a slip there from Dahi Gildea, but he still manages to feed the ball back off to it's Copper. Gary Copper McFadden sends that one over. We've watched him do that so many times over the years, and his experience will be vital on a night like this, Brendan.
Absolutely, yeah, and we know he's a wand of a left foot. He's a long-serving member of this Glenswilly team. Again, he was involved in the previous score that Keelan Dunleavy put over, but that time took it on himself to just swing it over with that left foot of his. Brilliant score for a 2-pointer actually for Glenswilly, just outside the arc. So a brilliant start for Glenswilly. They'll be happy with their start.
So kick out taken once again by Stephen McGrath, and again Naomh Conaill managed to win this the kind of sloppy breaking ball. They're bombing down the left hand side, and this Leo Dunphy is surrounded by some players, and the referee Mark Dorian obviously agreeing that Dunphy was perhaps fouled by one of those Glenswilly players who were so quick to close him down. But nonetheless, they've conceded the free and an opportunity for Naomh Conaill perhaps to open their account. Yeah,
and it's Owen McGettigan standing over the ball with his hands at the moment, and free kicks, particularly with the wind the way it's blowing here today, will be very important. So they will for both sides, particularly in the first half for Naomh Conaill to keep the scoreboard ticking over. This isn't an easy free kick; it's just kind of on the edge of the arc, so it is. I think it's just inside it, and he's going to hit this with his right foot.
Here it comes. It's going to drop short, and it's well taken by the goalkeeper, Keelan Kelly, and he's in no rush to clear possession, but he does well. Not probably what he intended to do, but it works out okay because Donald Gallagher has the ball and feeds it off to Sean Collum, and Glenswilly will start building from deep. And fairness to Keelan Kelly, not an easy one, Brendan, a high dropping ball so early in the game, but he handled it well.
He handled it really well. So he did hugely experienced player is Keelan Kelly. He's he's championship medals in his back pocket with this Glenswilly side down through the years, and a great servant of Glenswilly. Had been always an outfield player. This year they've put it in goals. Really smart, intelligent guy, and as you say, did really well under that first high ball, which can be nervous for keepers some days.
Okay, Glenswilly coming down there left this time, and this is the area where they managed to work themselves an opening for the opening score of the game, but they come back out. Keelan Dunleavy is helped out by his midfield partner Jamie McCauley, and it's away over to the far side. Big crowd over on that far side, and it's great to see such a good turnout of both Glenswilly and Naomh Conaill supporters who are here in big numbers. Here's Keelan Dunleavy again, good player Keelan Dunleavy, great future ahead of him at senior level. Here's Gary McFadden, and he's trying to work himself a bit of room over on the left hand side. Ball goes in as far as Keelan Dunleavy off his left foot. He likes the look of it. It's all the way over the black spot, and that's a great score from Keelan Dunleavy. And the referee or the umpire goes for his white flag.
Brilliant score from Keelan Dunleavy, and again with Gary McFadden involved in it down the play. Owen Scott, that full forward, again laying the ball off. Keelan Dunleavy then getting a second point of the game, swinging it over the bar beautifully. So really bright opening for Glenswilly in this game here. So it has been Diarmuid.
Yeah, and with just over 7 minutes gone, Glenswilly leading by 4 points and no score, despite the fact that Naomh Conaill enjoyed a bright opening to the game, certainly in terms of possession. They haven't managed to open their account just yet, so here they come again. A bit sloppy from Naomh Conaill to lose possession, and it was Ryan Diver who interjected. Gary McFadden once again over the 45 feeds the ball inside. Naomh Conaill do have plenty of men back. They should be able to deal with this, and indeed they do. And the ball comes out with Brendan McDyer involved, Oran Doherty, and that is Shane Malone. He's very quickly closed down by these hard-working Glenswilly defenders, and you can hear one of the mentors down in front of us, Lee Gilday, shouting encouragement to Glenswilly, working ever so hard, and that means that Naomh Conaill have to go all the way back and start again, Brendan.
Yeah, they did indeed, and again you can see the intensity and the passion that Glenswilly are bringing to it. Naomh Conaill in possession, and suddenly all these Glenswilly jerseys converging on them with intent, trying to get a turnover. They didn't get the turnover, but they forced Naomh Conaill on the back foot, and they ended up having to play it back into their own half of the field.
Keelan McGill holds up possession for Naomh Conaill, and again, the plenty of men in space, plenty of men forward in this attack. Here's Leo Dunphy, goes over 45, has a wee option in front of him. He feeds his man. That's Max Campbell. And here's an opportunity perhaps for Oran Doherty. Instead, he goes to Shea Malone, and off the outside of his right foot, he manages to just dink it over the bar. He used the one day's advantage as well, but the most important thing is that Naomh Conaill are on the scoreboard. Glenswilly leading by 4 points to 1.
Yeah, a really good finish with the outside of the foot from Shea Malone on that occasion. Again, we saw the experienced Liam McClune involved in that move too, and holding the ball up well, working the ball well through the hands. Shea Malone then just had to shift his body shape inside and did well to wrap his foot around it and curl it over the bar for Naomh Conaill's first score of the game after 9 minutes. And they've won an important turnover here now too, but there's a Glenswilly player down injured, so that might hold the game up.
Yeah, Mark Dorian close at hand to make that decision, and he has given Naomh Conaill the free in. So it's taken Naomh Conaill all of 9 minutes to open their scoring, open their account here, but there's no doubt about it. Glenswilly have started, as you say, Brendan, with intensity, and their work rate has been so impressive in these early stages.
100% Diarmuid, and you expect that. You expect when you come out to Glenswilly, you know what they're going to bring, and that's exactly what they have. They're bringing a lot of intensity into the attack, aggression, fighting for every ball, making it difficult, forcing the Naomh Conaill players to make decisions on the ball that they don't want to make, and just making it difficult overall for them. And it's important to do that because of the breeze advantage that they have in the first half. They need to get on the front foot, and I'm looking at Gary McFadden Copper here in front of us. He's making runs out from corner forward position. I'm sure it's something that they talked about. They know the pitch here, they know the way the wind blows, that they'll be working on 2 pointers. We saw how crucial they were a number of weeks ago in the All-Ireland final. Kerry kicking 5, Donegal kicking 0, and again I'm sure that they will play a huge part in this year's championship too, Diarmuid.
Well, it was Jack Gallagher that needed the treatment there from the Glenswilly physio. Picks himself up rather gingerly off the ground. Hopefully he'll be okay to continue, and as it is, Naomh Conaill now will take this free, and that's Leo McClune then is going to be wearing number 9 then, Brendan. We were fed the team news before the game, but as is often the case, some changes beforehand, which that information only really making its way to us shortly before throwing. But anyway, Leo McClune is at midfield. Glenswilly coming down their left hand side once again. They've been having good joy down this side. This time it's Reid Kelly, just takes his time and finds his man inside. That's Dahi Gilday. Dahi Gilday, good player, fists the ball out to his far side. He's got a man overlapping on that far side, and plenty of men up here again. Glenswilly, again, no real panic to get a shot away. Here's Cormac Callahan involved, goes down under challenge, manages just about to hold on to possession, but Naomh Conaill have plenty of men back there, and they're able to deal with that. It's Jason Campbell that comes away with possession, and all of a sudden Naomh Conaill go on the attack in the form of Oran Doherty, and his experience today, Brendan, will be hugely important to them.
Yeah, we spoke before the game about the type of players that Naomh Conaill were missing, and suddenly the team changed, and now you have Anthony Thompson, Liam McClune, Brendan McDyer, and as you mentioned, Oran Doherty. So they have plenty of experience through of the field, and of course their captain too, Johnny O'Malley, very experienced player on the road a long time. So this is a really experienced Naomh Conaill team, interspread with some of the younger guns like Owen McGettigan, like the Shea Malone, Max Campbell, these type of guys that are coming in.
Here is Shea Malone, who's toe to hand, but is forced to go back because again Glenswilly have plenty of men right across their own 45, and they've set themselves up well. Here's Leo McClune. Again, he's just in no real panic to try and force a pass inside. Is happy enough just to retain possession, and Keelan McGill was close at hand to help him out. Here's Owen Doherty, wearing the white boots, is easily picked out in this game. He just fists the ball into the corner, invites the run of Kevin McGettigan, and it's back to Owen Doherty. And again, Naomh Conaill just happy enough to come back and start again from deep. It's Leo McClune trying to orchestrate things from midfield. He's helped out by Brendan McDyer, and again at Glenswilly, look how many men they've got back there right around the arc. They've not really letting Naomh Conaill settle in possession, and the fact that they're marking so tightly as well, Brendan, obviously limits the options.
It does indeed, yeah, and they are forcing them around the side of the field, and we're seeing a lot of the over and back kind of play. But Naomh Conaill will be happy with this to retain possession, so they will, because once they have the ball, I suppose Glenswilly aren't getting up the field to create scoring chances. So we know the experience that Naomh Conaill have. They will know that they can hold on to it out here and not force the shot, which Oran Doherty is just after doing, but the ball is right there in the mix now, so it is. And Glenswilly come out with it on Donald Gallagher.
Yep, it was Sean Cullen at one possession. Donald Gallagher comes away with it, and all of a sudden Glenswilly have an opportunity now to take the ball forward and to attack, and it's Oisín McGrenra over on the far side. Did ever so well, Oisín McGrenra, and he's helped out by Dahi Gildea. He's forced to go back both because I suppose the Glenswilly players were a wee bit slow to get up on support. That was the problem, certainly over on the far side. I know, just looking down here in front of us, Keelan Kelly has wandered the whole way up inside the Naomh Conaill 45, and here he is in possession, way up the field. Keelan Kelly, good player as well. Keelan Kelly doing a job on goal this season. Shot came in from distance from Keelan Dunleavy, but that's wide.
That's the first wide for Glenswilly, I think, for the game.
Yeah.
And just indicative of the wind, I think Naomh Conaill have it one wide, but more importantly, they've dropped three short into the keeper's hands or into that area. So that again gives you the effects of the breeze here. Even though looking at the flags over there now, they seem to have died down a bit. When I came in, they were blowing very strong, Dermot.
They were. We're coming up to the midway point of this first half, and Glenswilly continuing to lead by 3 points. That's a good fetch in there from Keelan Dunleavy, and Glenswilly come forward again. Keelan Dunleavy ran on and collects the pass, goes back though, and needed a wee bit of help, and he got it. And there's Donald Gallagher comes across this near side to Gary McFadden. Had a wee think about maybe having a wee effort on goal, certainly within his range. And Glenswilly down in this left hand corner, that's probably an effort on goal from
Owen Scott.
Yeah, but again, not an easy one, certainly given the strong breeze here tonight, but fair play to Glenswilly. They managed to hold on to the ball, and they're in possession inside the Naomh Conaill half. This game tonight, part of a busy weekend of championship action at senior, intermediate and junior level. We'll let you know what's been happening elsewhere this weekend once we get an opportunity, but Jack Gallagher looks to have maybe shaken off that knock that he picked up a couple of minutes ago. Gary Copper McFadden's high dropping ball, that was an effort on goal for a point. Can Glenswilly make something of it? They can. Shot came in from Dahi Gildea, but the block came in from one of the Naomh Conaill defenders, and I think Mark Dorian has indicated that's going to be a 45, Brendan.
45, yeah, for Glenswilly. Again, really well worked. They kept moving the ball over around the arc until they got Gary McFadden out there. He had a pop for a 2-pointer, drop short. The ball then, Dahi Gildea in a brilliant position, fell into his hands, but again, you have to give great credit to the Naomh Conaill defenders. They got the bodies around it and were able to get a block on it to put it out for 45. Lucky let off for Naomh Conaill. Glenswilly will be disappointed that they didn't get something out of that attack, but they do have an opportunity now with the 45, and it looks to be Keelan Dunleavy that's standing over it.
Yeah,
of course, if the main man was here, Michael Murphy, you would expect him to be hitting it. So
yeah. Well, listen, we'll be seeing Michael Murphy in championship action within the next couple of weeks, no doubt about that. But for now, it's Keelan Dunleavy who is taking on the duties of hitting these 45s and long distance frees. I think he might have pushed that one a wee bit to the right.
No,
it's over the bar. Yeah, my apologies, Keelan. That's a well taken score. I just thought by the reaction of his teammates and even himself, there was no real positive reaction after that kick. But from our angle here, anyway, it's over the bar. That's the main thing. And Glenswilly stretched their lead from to 5 points to 1.
Yeah, a brilliant stroke of the ball from Keelan Dunleavy, just made it look very easy. We spoke about Michael not being here, but Keelan made it look very easy to put that over the bar for his third point of the game. For his third score of the game, and he's started really well because he's also won a couple of balls around the middle of the field too from kick-outs, so been a huge feature in this game in the opening 16-17 minutes.
Certainly has. John O'Malley captaining the Naomh Conaill side from centre half forward, trying to engineer another attack for his team. This is Brendan McDyer, all left footed over on that far side, and he's doing well to manage to hold on possession. He needs a bit of help. He has help there from Owen McGettigan, but the referee indicating that there was an overcarry, and Glenswilly are awarded the free again. Good defence from the home side.
Brilliant defence from the home side, and you can see how tuned into their respective roles they were. I was watching on that occasion. Cormac Callan has tasked with the role of Mark and Naomh Conaill, and he's sticking really tight to him, not making him let them runs off, take the ball off the shoulder, and eventually Glenswilly get the good turnover.
Okay, Glenswilly coming down that right hand side, and plenty of men up here again, but that's an intended pass that didn't reach its target, and Naomh Conaill are able to come away with the ball there. Shea Malone just riding a couple of challenges, and Sean Collum managed to get a challenge in, but not to deny Malone the pass away, and that's going to be a free out to Naomh Conaill. They go themselves. So what can they do? They haven't really enjoyed all that much in terms of efforts on goal in these opening stages, Brendan, and that's perhaps not a worry, but perhaps a slight concern.
No, I'm sure it is for the Naomh Conaill. It's early in the game, of course, yet, but you have to give great credit to Glenswilly in that respect. On that occasion, you saw the pressure that Jamie McCauley was putting on the player of possession, forcing him to make a decision that he doesn't want to make, and eventually, Mark Dorian gives him the free. But again, you see the pressure putting on them here, and again, on this occasion, Cormac Callan picks up a break, and Glenswilly are back in possession of the ball coming forward.
Yeah, again, Owen McGettigan, the Naomh Conaill player, frustrated that time. He actually tried to bounce the ball and just didn't come back up into his hands, and Cormac Callan was able to make the interception. There's an effort, and on goal that one's going to drift wide, and that's going to be a second wide of the evening for Glenswilly. Yeah,
it was Donald Gallagher, after some really good work by Jake Kelly. Thought he could have maybe given the ball a wee bit early, because Donald had made the surgeon run from deep, got inside, was 5 or 6 yards away from his man. Jake carried it on, gave it to Donald. Donald tried to come inside then, and it just didn't make good connection, and it went slightly wide for Glenswilly's second wide, Jermith.
In the Donegal Intermediate Championship earlier on this evening, Naomh Murrah enjoyed a good victory away to Narossa. It was Naomh Murrah 1 goal and 19 points, Narossa 13 points. There are other games at intermediate level being played this evening. Naomh Columba are hosting Milford, and Red Hughes are playing Cloughoneely. Those two games both throwing in at 7:30. And in the Junior Championship tonight, Moville play Naomh Columkill, and Naomh Ulton play host to Carndonagh. Those games both throw in at 7 o'clock. And at senior level tonight, Four Masters are playing St Knowles at 7 o'clock, and Downings, they host Dunlow at 7:30. Dunlow, of course, last year's beaten finalists. So certainly plenty of games on, and you can keep an eye on Donegal GAA's social media posts and channels, and Stream Sports channels as well, for more information on the games that are being shown, and how you can watch them over the coming days. And indeed, this campaign, there's an effort and on goal. I think that one's going to drift wide as well, so that's a second wide of the evening for Naomh Conaill. And the score remains at Glenswilly 5 points, Naomh Conaill a point.
Yeah, and they worked really hard for that wide. It was Neil Francis Boyle that took the shot in the end, so it was, but they had to work really hard, and again attributable to the great pressure that Glenswilly are putting on them when they are in possession of the ball. They had to work it out of the corner, and then it ended up with Neil Francis Boyle taking a somewhat speculative shot and putting it wide.
Okay, so Keelan McGill is the man that actually managed to get his hands on that ball. It was a kick out from Keelan Kelly. It went over a few heads, and Keelan McGill read the bounce and is able to start off this Naomh Conaill attack, which moves over to this near side as we watch down from the press box area. John O'Malley just feeds the ball out to Shea Malone, and O'Malley finds himself back in possession. What can he do with it? He's looking for options, he's looking for help, and Leo McClune just feeds the ball into Keelan McGill, the man who started this move. And again, Naomh Conaill really have to be patient in this build-up. They've been guilty on one or two occasions of perhaps taking the wrong option. Players losing possession when in possession. And that's, I suppose, credit to Glenswilly's defensive setup. and the attitude and intensity that their players have brought to this game tonight. They're leading this one by 5 points to just a point for Naomh Conaill. There's a challenge goes in over on the far side, and Mark Dorian, match referee, gives the line ball to Glenswilly.
Yeah, he does indeed, and I'm sure Naomh Conaill are looking at the scoreboard. They're 1 point on the board after 22 minutes. Jeremy, they had a couple of chances, but they really haven't threatened an awful lot on Keelan Kelly, so they haven't at this stage, and there's no fluidity really to their play as of yet, so there isn't. And again, you have to give great credit to Glenswilly in that respect. Now, I bear in mind that they are playing with the advantage of the wind down the field, and whether they can sustain that level, we'll have to wait and see. But it's been a bright opening from Glenswilly. Naomh Conaill struggling to make any impact against them.
Well, next up for Naomh Conaill after tonight is a local derby against Ardra next weekend for Glenswilly. A tricky enough assignment as well. They travel to play Sean McCool's, and I'm sure all the clubs will be looking at how all these results are going this weekend. Even though it's the opening round of fixtures, it certainly does give a wee indication of how things are set up, Brendan.
Yeah, it does indeed. And you mentioned there Naomh Conaill playing Ardra next weekend, home to Naomh, a real local derby. Ardra are going nicely, so they are. They've an injury-free team. They're all fit and available. I was talking to Dara Heenan, their half-back on the way in, and he says the full squad available for tomorrow. So that'll be an exciting prospect next week, so it will. And who did you say Glenswilly have? Is it?
Glenswilly have McCool's.
McCool's, yeah. Again, McCool's have to travel to the Bridge tomorrow to play St Michael's, and that's going to be a big test for them. So it is, because we know Michael's are very difficult to beat down there, so they are. So some good games in prospect, but we'll not see this really even itself out until the second group game. We'll call them game 3 and game 4 before we have an idea how this is all going to pan out.
And by the way, mentioning that St Michael's Sean McCool's game tomorrow, you can catch that one on Donegal GAA TV tomorrow. Brendan will be on commentary down at the Bridge. That game throws in at 2 o'clock, and again a busy programme of fixtures tomorrow as Gary McFadden sends that free up and over the bar, and it's a 2-pointer because it was from outside the requisite distance, and that's his second 2-pointer of the evening. And perhaps the one, maybe a wee bit of an advantage to Glenswilly in this first half. Certainly Gary McFadden's effort on goal there, Brendan, was comfortably over the bar.
It certainly was, yeah. And listen, Gary McFadden, we know he's a trusty left foot, so he has, and them opportunities to him are just outside the arc, are really just a tap over for him with the advantage of that little breeze. He's just so good on them type of frees, and as you say, 2-2-pointers, and you can see the difference that they make. It changes from a 5-point or from a 4-point game to a 6-point game.
Here comes Jack Gallagher. Can he get an effort on goal? He's got players outside him. There's an opportunity perhaps for Dahi Gildea. It ends up going back to Podrick Devine, and that one goes over the bar. So another good score for Glenswilly. One after Naomh Conaill were guilty of touching the ball on the ground. And again, Brendan, it's just so unlike Naomh Conaill to be making mistakes like that. And they find themselves 7 points adrift, 8 points to just 1 point.
Yeah, and Glenswilly deservedly lead by that 7 points, German, so they do. They're bringing in all the intensity of the game. On that occasion, Porrick Devine ended up on the ball, and you can see the difficulty with the new rules where keepers are going long, and it really is anyone's ball out the middle of the park, and whoever's showing that more desire, more hunger, which we're seeing from Glenswilly in this first half, will basically come out on top, and that seems to be what's sort of transpiring here in this first half, German.
Well, 16 minutes since Naomh Conaill have managed to raise their one and only white flag this evening. Their point from Shea Malone. It was a well-worked score, and you would have thought at that stage that it might have maybe kick-started Naomh Conaill and got them going, but in fairness to Glenswilly, their response has been so impressive, and scores from Keelan Dunleavy, that 2-pointed free from Gary McFadden, and that score just a few seconds ago from Podrick Devine ensures that they lead by 8 points to 1. I was going to mention those games tomorrow, St Michael's and Sean McCool's, the game that opens up tomorrow's round of senior fixtures. Guidor play Glenfinnan and Maharagallen at 3 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, St Eunan's play Kilcar in O'Donnell Park in Letterkenny. That's another game that you can see on Donegal GAA TV. Oisín Kelly and Brendan Devaney will be on commentary there. And then at 4 o'clock as well in Down in Pierce Memorial park. It's Ardra against Arua. Some interesting fixtures there, Brendan. Plenty to look forward to.
Plenty to look forward to, yeah. And listen, this, as we say, this is the bread and butter of, we're back from the big shot stuff now of heading to Crow Park every second week. So we are, Jim, we're back to the bread and butter stuff, and it's great to have it. So it is, just looking forward now to the next 8 or 9 weeks of club championship football. And as it goes on, the intensity will rise, and we'll see a better idea of where teams are at. So obviously there's players missing. A lot of county guys are still on holidays, but we're still seeing a fairly well contested game here, albeit that Glenswilly are kind of leading by 7 points at the moment. But I expect Naomh Conaill, a rebound from Naomh Conaill, they'll come back at this at some stage, Jeremy. So
yeah, because remember what happened in the reserve game tonight here. You did mention it already, Brendan, the fact that Glenswilly were so far ahead at half time. I think they led by 7 or 8 points at half time. But after the turnaround, Naomh Conaill took control, started kicking points, got themselves a goal, got themselves right back into the game, and ended up winning by a point, 111 to 13 points.
Yeah, indeed, and we've seen it all through the summer. Once a team gains momentum on the opposition, it's very hard to turn it around. So it was, and with the kick out, the kick out having to go out long, because most teams are pressing up, forcing a long kick out. We're not seeing as many short kick outs, so it is a contest out in the middle of the field on opposition kick outs. The opposition can just go in and batter it down, and they can retain possession for periods of time, and that's what we're seeing as a kind of a recurring theme over games, that once a team gets on top, you can see them staying on top for 5 or 10 minutes and pinning the other side in.
Yeah, here come Naomh Conaill. They really could be doing with the score before half time. There's only around about a minute and a half of the first half to go. Can they engineer a score? That's a good effort. Comes in from Brendan McDyer.
Yeah,
brilliant
kick.
off the left boot, under pressure as well. But Brendan McDyer just shows his experience and his quality, winning possession, and he takes that score, and that's just what Naomh Conaill needed before half time.
Certainly did, yeah. And again, brilliant work. Kevin McGettigan initially carrying the ball up the field. Ball was played, the experience Oran Doherty found it was nothing on, getting shut down by the Glenswilly defence. The ball was worked way around to Brendan McDyer with that trusty left foot of his. Then he just put it over the bar for a really good score.
Gary McFadden has dropped out a lot deeper for this move, for this attack, and again Glenswilly in possession. There won't be any hooter, by the way, at half time. And we were just we got speaking to the match referee Mark Dorian before this game started, and it'll be at his discretion in terms of the amount of injury time that will be played. And Glenswilly, as they are in possession, they'll be hoping to maybe work themselves a score before his half-time whistle is blown. Here's Gary McFadden wearing number 13, big, strong, experienced player. Gary Copper McFadden. His brother Keelan is among the subs. Here comes Keelan Dunleavy, one of the standout players of this first half. Effort comes in, it's going to just drop before it goes out, and I think it's going to be Naomh Conaill that are going to come away with this one. They've got John O'Malley back there. He's done a lot of defending in this first half, hasn't he, John O'Malley?
Yes, yeah, I was noting that myself. He's picked up more ball in his own defensive half of the field than he has in the attacking half of the field, and that's by necessity because they are under so much pressure, Dermot.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because this is the first game under the new rules in the club championship here in Donegal. Obviously Killybegs and Termon earlier on, but the first match that we're watching, Brendan, and it's certainly it's a new challenge for players and management and even the supporters to enjoy, and it's been enjoyable so far.
It has indeed, yeah, and even looking at games, watching a couple of games from Mayo yesterday evening too, Jeremy, then you're not seeing the big scores that you saw, again, Jack Gallagher after putting the ball over the bar. You're not seeing the huge scores that we saw maybe in the All-Ireland Championship. You're seeing more 112, 114, that type of thing, but again, it'll take time for management and players to get fully to grips with it, you would imagine.
Yeah. Okay, so Naomh Conaill, their goalkeeper Stephen McGrath is going to take this clearance. His team trail by 9 points to 2. 2 minutes of injury time will be played at the end of this first half, and perhaps that's enough time for Naomh Conaill to maybe work another effort on goal and perhaps get themselves another point before the break. Mind they may get a goal. Shot came in from Oran Doherty. It was a good block in there. I think it may have been Sean Cullen that got himself in front of that one. Big Colin, big strong full back. He did well on that occasion. If it was him, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was a brilliant block, so it was, because it was a really good move from Naomh Conaill on that occasion. Kevin McGettigan involved, roomed the ball eventually with Oran Doherty. He tried to force his way, drive it low and hard, but there was a good block putting it. Eventually the ball works way to Oran McGettigan and his shot went wide.
Padraig Devine helped out by Reid Kelly. These Glenswilly young players are not getting fazed by this challenge of playing a team that have been one of the dominant forces in Donegal Senior Football Championship action in recent years. And as Anthony Thompson picks up the loose ball, and Naomh Conaill come away down this near side. Shea Malone just manages to avoid the tackle of Jamie McCauley and makes a good bit of progress in towards the Glenswilly half. And Naomh Conaill come again. Brendan McDyer, fresh from kicking a really, really nice score to get his team another welcome point. They haven't had too many in this first half, only the two to show for their efforts in this first half. Can they get a third? Leo McClune, big strong man. John O'Malley, the Naomh Conaill captain, helped out over on that far side. It's Owen McGettigan trying to work himself in, and this time the referee says, yeah, that was a challenge that wasn't warranted, and it's a free that's given close in. Glenswilly asking the ref if that was indeed the right decision, but he's not going to change his mind here, Brendan. And
no, I think it was. I think he got it fairly right. Owen McGettigan, be fair to him, he dropped the shoulder. He was under a lot of pressure. He knew that if he ran at the Glenswilly defence, that he may draw a free, because there was very little chance of getting a shooting opportunity. But good work, Johnny O'Malley involved again, Oran Doherty involved, Leo McClune, and eventually Owen McGettigan just tried to shade by his man, and he has a chance now to pull it back to a 6-point game. And it would be an important score for Naomh Conaill going in at the break at half time.
Yeah, the referee's still going to allow play to continue. That's an important score, because 6 points at half time, not a disaster by any manner of means. No need to panic just yet for Naomh Conaill. And indeed, there goes the half-time whistle. So Glenswilly will be certainly be the happier of the two sides at this stage, but they know, Brendan, that's only we're only at the halfway point, and there's a long way to go yet in this opening tie.
Yeah, there certainly is. And if you go back in old money, Dermot, that would be a 7-point to 3, which would be only a 4-point lead. So it would, just without the two pointers. But that's what we're looking at the moment. A 6-point lead. It's a good lead to be taken into the interval, but it's not something that will faze this Naomh Conaill team too much. They'll know they have the advantage of the elements in the second half, and they'll know that they can play an awful lot better too. They've been a bit disjointed, so they have, for a team that have been so consistent over the last number of years, that just really haven't put it together. But you attribute a lot of that to the pressure that Glenswilly are putting them under, because they're forcing them to make decisions on the ball that they don't want to make, and they're putting pressure every time they're in possession. They're putting the man in possession under pressure, so they are German. So Glenswilly be happy enough going in at half time, but they know they still have an awful lot of work to do in the second half.
And who have impressed you in that Glenswilly team in that first half, Brendan?
Yeah, I was certainly Keelan Dunleavy has really impressed me in the middle of the park. He's kicked 3 points, so he has, and he's been really influential. He's also won ball around the middle of the park, and Gary McFadden, experienced Gary McFadden then inside, has been really good. So he has Donald Jack Gallagher. Defensively, they're really solid, so they are. For Naomh Conaill, defensively they've been strong. Young Max Campbell has been getting up the field to great effect for them, so he has, as is his other wing half back Kevin McGettigan. And then they've been, Brendan McDyer kicked a good score. Shea Malone has looked lively. They'll be looking more from the likes of Owen McGettigan, who has been tightly marked by Cormac Callan. He's not really getting as much into the game. We're seeing a bit more of Oran Doherty in the last 5 or 10 minutes on the ball, so they'll be looking for them key players to get them into the game and to give them a foothold here, so they will German.
Okay, so Glenswilly getting themselves into a 4-point to no score advantage very, very early in this contest, and they managed to maintain that advantage right throughout that first half. At one stage they led by 8 points to 1, Podrick Devine kicking them into a 7-point lead with around about 5 minutes of that first half to go. But those couple of late scores from Brendan McDyer and Owen McGettigan sandwiched over a Jack Gallagher point for Glenswilly ensures that Glenswilly's lead at halftime is 6 points. It's a good advantage. They lead by 9 points to 3. We'll be back with second half commentary shortly.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we cater for everyone, from top sporting athletes to relaxed casual sporting individuals and everyone in between. We also provide a large range of teamwear services and cater for schools and clubs. Orders can be customised to your specification to suit your individual needs. From clothing to equipment, we've got you covered. At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure,
ball comes in, and they like the look of that. The umpire's going for his wife for just a slip there from Dahi Gildea, but he still manages to feed the ball back off to it's Gary Copper McFadden. It's in over on the left hand side. Ball goes in as far as Keelan Dunleavy off his left foot. He likes the look of it. It's all the way over the black spot for Owen Doherty. Instead he goes to Shea Malone, and off the outside of his right foot he manages to just dink it over the bar. He used the one to his advantage as well, but the most important thing is that Naomh Conaill are on the scoreboard. He is taking on the duties of hitting these 45s and long distance frees. I think he might have pushed that one a wee bit to the right block. And again, a busy programme of fixtures tomorrow as Gary McFadden sends that free up and over the bar, and he get an effort on goal. He's got players outside him. There's an opportunity perhaps for Dahi Gildea. It ends up going back to Podrick Devine, and that one half of the first half to go. Can the engineer score? That's a good effort. Comes in from Brendan McDyer. Brilliant off the left foot.
And even looking at games, watching a couple of games from Mayo yesterday evening to Diarmid, and you're not seeing the big scores that you saw. Again, Jack Gallagher after putting the ball over there. You're not seeing
And you're welcome back to Park Naomh Columba here in Glenswilly as the Naomh Conaill side come back out for the second half. At half time they're trailing in this game by 6 points. It's Glenswilly 9 points, Naomh Conaill 3 points. It's a cold evening here in Glenswilly. Although if you're wrapped up, this is a game that's been very enjoyable so far. Very open game. Both teams certainly intent on playing football, and it's Glenswilly who've enjoyed the better of things so far. Brendan Kilcoyne is with me here on commentary for this game tonight. It's the opening weekend of the Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure Donegal Senior Football Championship, and Brendan, you've been well impressed by this young Glenswilly side.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the effort and the intensity they're bringing to the game. So I am, Jeremy. You know, they've been really on it, so they have, and you expect that. Any Gary McDade managed team, you expect them to be really on it in that respect. But they've a big half of football against them coming up for now. So they have, I see Leo McClune will probably go in and play at the edge of the square, so we might see a bit more direct ball from Naomh Conaill going in. Big Neil Francis Boyle is out in the middle of the park. He's going to contest the throw-in again with Keelan Dunleavy. So we're looking forward to a second half. I would expect a rebound from Naomh Conaill because they've so much experience and they've so much pedigree in the Donegal Senior Championship that you just know they're going to bring it. And I'm sure Martin Regan had strong words with them at half time. They won't panic because they've been in this situation before, and they'll be able to grind it out. So be interested to see how the second half pans out, Dermot.
Okay, before the second half gets underway, just want to say offer a word of thanks to Raymond McFadden of McFadden's of Brina. Raymond has supplied the lorry here for us, which is providing the press facilities here at Park Naomh Columba tonight. Raymond's son Jared, of course, very much involved in the Glenswilly Club, an old school pal of mine. So our thanks to the McFadden family for all their help and assistance here tonight. The second half is underway, and Kevin McGettigan just kicks the ball back towards Anthony Thompson, and just as they did in the first half, Naomh Conaill are very early out of the blocks in terms of possession, and they will happily build from deep, although Warren Doherty wondering why Keelan McGill didn't offer himself going forward there. Doherty forced to go back because of that, and has to go back again this time. He's helped out by Logan Quinn, wearing number 2, playing as part of this Naomh Conaill defensive unit. As John O'Malley coming from deep again. Here's the experienced Anthony Thompson. Good player, Anthony Thompson. What a servant to the Naomh Conaill club and to Donegal football over a brilliant career. He just wanders forward. He's actually wandered into a decent bit of space if his teammates can spot him, but they're not going to get the chance. Well, they certainly weren't going to until Jason Campbell managed to intervene and win possession again. Naomh Conaill find it ever so hard to work this attack. Brendan, again, Glenswilly doing their job defensively.
Certainly are, yeah, and they're just pushing right up on them, forcing them into errors on it. So they are, Jeremy. Then, you know, brilliant intensity from Glenswilly again at the start of the second half, what we've seen. But we see Kevin McGettigan attacking the far wing now on the ball, and again a sloppy pass that goes to ground. So, and we're seeing a lot of that from Naomh Conaill today. You know, they're just not as accurate or not as pinpoint as you would expect from them. And I say that, and Oran Doherty kicks up over an absolute banger of a 2-pointer with the outside of his boot. We've seen him doing it so often throughout the years. Brilliant score from Oran Doherty.
And that's what Naomh Conaill needed. Just when it seemed that attack was going to fade away and not deliver anything of note, Oran Doherty managed to work himself an opening. And he has that ability, doesn't he, Brendan, to kick a score when so many other players would go for a different option?
He has indeed, and he just loves the outside of that boot, so he does. You know, we've seen him doing it all year over the years with Donegal on the inter-county level and at club level for his club, Naomh Conaill, and that was a really brilliant score and a really important score for Naomh Conaill to settle him into the second half. We see him back on the ball here again, and that's what Naomh Conaill will be looking for. They'll be looking for their leaders, their experienced players, to get on the ball and to create them openings, Dermot.
Okay, Naomh Conaill are coming forward again, and that is Anthony Thompson. He's forced to go wide, and it's a loose pass, which is making John O'Malley do a wee bit of work. And again, Mark Dorian is close at hand to make his decision on that. Although the linesman over on the far side is Charlie Creevy. He's indicating that it's a Naomh Conaill ball, and you can hear the frustrations of the Glenswilly backroom team down in front of us.
Yeah, I think the linesman had judged that maybe Donald Gallagher got his foot to it. There was a contest between Donald Gallagher and Johnny O'Malley. Johnny O'Malley went down the ball, Donald put his foot in, and I think the linesman had judged then that it was a Naomh Conaill ball. As you say, Glenswilly not happy with the decision, but all is well in the world again because Keegan Kelly now has a kick out.
Okay, so I mentioned earlier on about this match tonight, part of a busy programme of fixtures in the Senior Championship. Killybegs winning the game against Termon, the opening match of the evening, which had a 5 o'clock start down in Eamon Memorial Park. Hugh McFadden and Owen Gallagher, the Donegal players, both featuring for Killybegs, and their victory at 112 to 8 points, the home side winning that one. 4 Masters have beaten St Noel's at Cheerconnell Park by 12 points tonight. We'll confirm that score anyway. Naomh Conaill are in on goal, perhaps. Opportunity shot comes in. It's driven over the bar by Shea Malone. And that's a second point in quick succession at the start of the second half for Naomh Conaill. And they are already showing their intentions, Brendan.
Yeah, brilliant pressure by Oran Doherty in the corner on that occasion. And again, Glenswilly trying to work the ball out of defence. Glenswilly putting a full press on, tackling man for man. Oran Doherty forced the turnover, worked the ball into Shea Malone, who drove it over the bar for a brilliant score. That's his second of the game from Shea Malone. Good score. Brilliant start the second half from Naomh Conaill. They'll be happy. They're right back in it now. 3-point game. Just one sub to note too. Mark Boner has entered the game, so he had wearing number 19 for Glenswilly for Jack Gallagher. I do recall that Jack Gallagher was down injured at one stage in the first half, so they must have judged that he wasn't fit to continue on. A big loss to this Glenswilly team because he's centre half back. He was part of Jim McGuinness's extended squad again this year for the Donegal squad, and so he's going to be a big loss. So he is.
Okay, so Mark Boner is on. And he is a quality player. Mark Boner, I've seen him at club or at senior level in league games over the last couple of seasons. Shot comes in, and that's the perfect response from Glenswilly.
And it was Owen Scott, that man Owen Scott, wearing number 14, I think, that finished at Jim. Absolutely brilliant finish from him, in and under the keeper, ball coming in. And you mentioned Mark Boner, who played really well and ball moved 2 or 3 times through the hands, worked the ball to young Owen Scott. Young Owen Scott slipped it under Stephen McGrath. Brilliant response again by Glenswilly.
He came in off the right hand side onto his left foot and placed it low in past Stephen McGrath, the Naomh Conaill goalkeeper. Not an easy one to try and save, and credit to Owen Scott. He hasn't had too many opportunities in this game so far, but he's a quality player, and he showed that ability there with that brilliant finish. And all of a sudden Glenswilly lead this one by a goal and 9 points to 5 points, although Naomh Conaill now have an opportunity to maybe hit back with a score of their own, because the free was brought forward. It was Brendan McDyer was involved there. Mark Dorian not happy that the Glenswilly man was denying Naomh Conaill the opportunity to take a quick free. He's brought the ball forward. It's just on the edge of the arc, and a couple of things to sort out before he allows the set piece to be taken. Yeah,
and again, this is a kind of qualm I have with the new 2-pointer frees. So it is from the point of view, Glenswilly are after going up the field, scoring a brilliant goal, well-worked goal, and now the whole shine of that goal is going to be taken off if Owen McGettigan can manage to put this over the bar, because it really is, you get obviously the 3-point swing for Glenswilly at one end, and this will bring it back to just a 1-point swing from the goal, Jim. Yeah. If Owen McGettigan can put it over the bar.
Yeah, nothing easy about it, but we've seen Gary McFadden already kick not too far away from this exact spot in the first half, a 2-pointer and a 2-pointer free a wee bit further over to the right hand side. Anyway, here comes Owen McGettigan. There's a hush around Park Naomh Columba as this one is sent over the bar, and that's a perfect response again. I did say that Glenswilly had hit back in style with Owen Scott's score, but Owen McGettigan's 2-pointer, you're right, Brendan, the lead is back to just 5 points.
Yeah, so there's really only 1 point advantage from that period of play there, and again, good response from Naomh Conaill, and good kick under pressure from Owen McGettigan. He has struggled to get into the game. He got the free just before half time, and that wasn't, as you say, it was a difficult enough free, but he made it look easy, just tapped it over and got over the crossbar to make it a 4-point game.
Well, credit to Keelan Kelly. He picked out a great kick out, a great delivery from that kick out over to the far side to Keelan Dunleavy, and that's a move that they've tried a few times in this game, and it worked a treat there, because again Keelan Dunleavy won possession, then he was fouled, and for an indiscretion, Naomh Conaill have been punished. The ball has been carried forward, and Glenswilly come forward themselves over the Naomh Conaill 45. It's Jay Kelly is involved, and he's helped out by Podrick Devine, and that's young Boner and Reid Kelly all involved in this move. Keelan Dunleavy decides to go over to the far side, and Glenswilly patient in their build up. They lead by 1-9 to 7 points, and with a long way to go in the second half, Glenswilly will be happy with the position they're in, will be delighted to have raised the green flag through Owen Scott, but we'll know that this Naomh Conaill side, this experienced Naomh Conaill team, are far from out of this contest just yet. Glenswilly just have to be careful not to lose possession. They're doing well, they're managing to retain it, Naomh Conaill have plenty of men back, and again, just like Glenswilly in the first half, they're working hard just to deny Glenswilly the opportunity to get a shot away, and it looks like they're going to have to come back out again, Brendan, and start this attack again.
Yeah, they will indeed. I just note another sub in the Glenswilly team too. Number 20, Caoimhin Marley, is in the game. I'm not sure who's gone out of it, but we'll suss that out as the game goes on. But really good play. A guy that's made a difference already in the couple of possessions that he had is Mark Boner. He's been on the ball a good few times, and Caoimhin Marley is obviously a big option, big man in the middle of the field, which are so important.
Yep, Caoimhin Marley wearing 20, Mark Boner wearing 19. Caoimhin Marley, big, little, tall, lanky midfielder, and he delivers that one, and he's helped out by Jake Kelly. Again, Anthony Thompson and his fellow defenders are forcing Glenswilly to go back again, and Owen Scott, the man who got their goal, is happy enough just to go inside, and young Donald Gallagher.
Young Oisin McGrenred, that's midway for Caoimhin Marley. Oisin was wearing number 11 in the first half, again one of the young guns, and they've decided to bring on a bit of experience.
Yeah, that's Dahi Gilday, helped out by Padraig Devine.
And Reid Kelly kicks a really good score.
And Padraig Devine's ball, his effort on goal, goes up and over the bar, and once it left his boot, you knew it was on target, Brendan.
Yeah, you did indeed, and again, really well worked. You know, they were being put under a lot of pressure, but worked the opportunity to find a man with a couple of yards that created separation from his man to kick the ball over the bar to open up a 5-point lead.
Okay. Glenswilly, 1 goal and 10 points. Naomh Conaill, 8 points. We've played almost 10 minutes of the second half as Naomh Conaill come forward again. Brendan McDyer scored a beautiful point in the first half. Tries to engineer an opening here. That one's going to drop well short, comfortably into the hands of Keelan Kelly, the Glenswilly goalkeeper, who decides to go on a little run himself, solos it out, and again just indicates to his teammate just to be careful, hold on to possession, don't give anything away. Cormac Callahan, very, very good game so far from Cormac Callahan, helped out by Mark Boner. Goes at pace, and that's Donald Gallagher. Good player, Donald Gallagher has had his own injury and health problems in recent times, but certainly a player with a bright future as well. Brendan, ball in towards Caoimhin Marley. He's got the options out to his left hand side, just looking inside. Glenswilly in no real rush to pump it in as the shot comes in from Keelan Dunleavy. Yeah, fair play to Keelan Dunleavy. That's another good score. You give him room in and around those areas, Brendan, he's going to punish you. He's
having a really super game around the middle of the field. His contribution not only to the scoreboard but winning primary possession around that key area has been crucial in Glenswilly opening up this 6-point lead. So to me, he's been the standout player on the field in this game so far. Dermot.
Okay, there's a change.
I'm saying Dermot Brickmalloy coming in for Brendan McDyer. Yeah. Dermy, obviously, hugely experienced player. Again, another guy who's involved in the All-Ireland winning team of 2012 and has given great service to both Donegal and in particular Naomh Conaill, and they're just looking to try and get something going up front because they're struggling so far, so they are. Dermot.
Yeah, we've got 11 minutes in the second half, and Brick Malloy has been given the opportunity to make his mark in this contest, and he's a player that has certainly made his mark in games over the years. He's quality at left foot. Is there a better left foot around? Anyway, Naomh Conaill come forward. It's Leo McClune got a little bit of a nudge, maybe a wee bit fortunate to be given the benefit of the doubt there, Brendan. But
he was trying to really bulldoze his way through. He's trying to lead by what he feels his team needs at this moment, but Max Campbell was standing over here, so he was kind of free at the top of the D. I thought he could have been the ball played out to him, but again, Naomh Conaill haven't been just as sharp as you would expect them to be. A couple of passes that just go on the ground that aren't hitting the man on that occasion to try to hit Dermot Brickmalloy with it, and it just went behind him. He would have loved to have swung around and maybe created a big score with his left foot, but he has a chance now from a free. He's out just inside the 45 to the right of goals. Good side for a left-footed kicker with the way the breeze is going. He should have a good chance of this.
Yeah, and from his first touch of the ball, he just got a wee bit too much on it, didn't get the curl on it, and it drifts well wide. And Another change here, is there, Brendan?
Big Kieran Gallagher coming in now, so he is. Pat Barrett's not letting him. The linesman is just not letting him come across yet, but he's going to go in, so he might see. You would expect him to go around the middle of the field maybe for a start, because they have been struggling around that area. And it's Neil Francis Boyle who's coming off, who has played second fiddle to Keelan Dunleavy in the middle of the park today for the big men.
Okay, and we've already spoken about Kieran Gallagher and the impact he had when these sides last met in the league back in April at this venue. An exciting league game that Glenswilly led for long periods before the introduction of Gallagher saw him hit 2 goals as Naomh Conaill came back to draw that game, one of the more memorable league games of the season so far. And there, a little bit of I'll tell you what, it's all happening here because Mark Torrian brought the ball forward. Naomh Conaill were looking to take the quick free a second time. And what's the referee going to do here?
Yeah, it was Owen McGettigan on the ball, and he spotted that there was no one back on the goal line apart from Keelan Kelly, the goalkeeper. Obviously isn't a natural keeper, and Owen was going to have a quick pot, or he was pretending he was going to have a quick pot. But anyway, simple tap over free for Dermot Malloy to settle his nerves. Okay, so Rick Malloy opens up his account. Glenswilly lead by 111 to 9 points, so there's 5 points in it. We've almost reached the midway point of the second half as Glenswilly prepare themselves to make another change. And it's Oisin Crawford that's coming into the game again, an experienced player, would certainly add a huge amount of toughness to this, and that's Oisin McGrenra that's actually gone off there now, so it is at this stage. Okay, so Oisin Crawford is on for Glenswilly. He's a good player, as Oisin Crawford. Wins a good breaking ball around the middle of the park, and that's exactly what Glenswilly will be looking for in them situations. Yeah, well, the referee brings it back. He was trying to allow Glenswilly a wee bit of advantage, but Keelan Dunleavy, even though he got his pass away, as he obviously suffered a bit of a knock there because he's taken a bit of a breather. Gary Copper McFadden is close at hand, and he's had this been in the first half and given the way the wind was blowing in that first half in terms of Glenswilly's advantage, he probably would have had a pop on goal, but not this time. He's way too far out, and he's looking for options to start another Glenswilly move. He goes to his right hand side, and it's Jake Kelly, who's been involved a fair wee bit in terms of the attacking play of Glenswilly in the second half. And those changes, Brendan, bringing on Mark Boner, bringing on Kevin Marley, and now Oisin Crawford. They're good players to bring off the bench. They certainly are. A lot of experience we're bringing in, and a lot of toughness. These are guys that have been around the block, so they have with Glenswilly over the years. Oisin Crawford, a long servant of Glenswilly Club, and the first ball, that's exactly what Glenswilly mentors would have been looking for when he came on, to win that dirty ball, to win that hungry ball around the middle of the park, and it gives Glenswilly control of the ball. Now I say that, and they've been turned over, and it's Oran Doherty attacking. Yeah, Owen Doherty tries it from outside the boot, and he's annoyed with himself. You can see the frustration because they had men breaking at pace. They had one man inside, really, didn't they? And Owen Doherty, I don't know, was that a pass or an effort in goal, Brendan? I think it was an effort on goal, and he's every reason to be annoyed with himself, Jeremy, because that was a poor effort. It was neither, like Keelan Kelly was way off his line, there was no one in the goal. It was neither an effort for a point or just tailed wide him, and we talk about the outside of his boot. Perhaps that wasn't the best strike that he hit over the years. Yeah, and for once Keelan Dunleavy was the man that was robbed of possession, but hasn't he made up for it with that brilliant catch there and set Glenswilly on their way again. Perhaps an opportunity for them maybe to work a goal opening, but it just drifts a wee bit far away. But Reid Kelly manages to retrieve possession. He does, and that's a good pass. It was a dangerous pass to make, but it's good. It's worked out. The shot comes in, and that one's over the bar. That's a long raking effort from Kevin Marley from distance. Yeah. Are they going to give a 2-pointer? Oh no, touch the keeper on the way over. That's what they're saying. We're close to the two benches here, Brendan, in our commentary position, and close to the linesman on this near side, Pat Barrett, and he was very quick to turn around and explain what happened there. The keeper got the final touch, so that's a 1-pointer. Yeah, really good officiating from Pat Barrett here to explain the officials, because we can get a bit excited on the line, but it was no doubt it was outside the 45. But again, it's a rule I think that the GA and the FRC need to look at. Just because Stephen McGrath was able to get his fingertips to it, it was probably going over the bar anyway. It's a 1-pointer instead of a 2-pointer. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one rule that certainly needs a wee bit of consideration, doesn't it? Because it's the player that had the kick on goal that's penalised.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say, it was going over the bar regardless of whether Stephen got the touch to it or not. And, obviously Stephen did really well. He saved his team a point there. But from the point of view of, fair play and that, it's something that they definitely need to look at, so they do.
The strength from Leo McClune. Brilliant play from the Glenties man. Over halfway. Referee takes the ball back, though. He's going to give a free to Naomh Conaill. He just didn't indicate it, and he's not happy that the free is taken from the wrong place. But Leo McClune showing all his strength there, driving through the challenges. And
that's a lot of strength. So he is a powerful man on the ball, Leo. So he is, and really hard to dispossess. He takes a good hold, really hard to dispossess. And he's doing, to be fair to Leo, he's doing everything in his power to drive his team forward here. But Glenswilly are just better all over the field at the moment, so they are. And Naomh Conaill are going to have to come up with something. They've 11 and a half minutes to come up with something here, plus whatever bit of injury time. But huge credit to Glenswilly, they're able, and Keelan Dunleavy around the middle of the park has been absolutely fantastic with them, as has Kevin Marley since he came in. Yep,
Sean Collum does well because he almost stole possession back for Glenswilly. Forced Naomh Conaill just to work hard to retain the ball. They're coming down the far side now. It's Doherty, and helped out by Dermot Brick-Malloy is over there, but the ball goes eventually to Kevin McGettigan, so they'll come from a wee bit deeper again. Liam McClune just feeds the ball off to Dermot Brick-Malloy from distance, and that one just drifts wide. Unlucky from Dermot Brick-Malloy. We know he has the ability to kick points for fun from distances like that, but that one just didn't work out.
Yeah, he's a massive radar, so he has with that left foot of his, so he has, but on that occasion just tailed off wide in him. And Naomh Conaill really do need to get 2-pointer or something to get themselves back into this game and to give them a bit of a chance.
I'll tell you what, Glenswilly could be in here. They're bearing down on goal, and it's that man again, Owen Scott.
What a finish!
Owen Scott
from Owen Scott.
Absolutely brilliant from the young full forward again, coming in off the right hand side. Naomh Conaill didn't learn their lesson, Brendan, because that's exactly what happened with their first goal. And Owen Scott, once he got the ball, you knew he had a goal on his mind.
Yeah, 100%, Dermot. He's such an intelligent little footballer. You could play Owen in any position in the field, from corner back to corner forward. But as you say, once he got that ball, there was one thing on Owen's mind, and that was back of the net. Attacked it really well, and again put it too low in the corner that Stephen McGrath really hadn't any chance. Brilliant score from Glenswilly, and you would expect them to have enough now to hold on at this stage, so you would to create probably what is the first surprise of the championship, Dermot.
Well, Naomh Conaill might have something to say about that. They're coming forward again, ball pumped in, this time by Anthony Thompson, but Keelan Kelly very comfortable under the ball under his own crowd. Now, it was under no real pressure there, but he has been impressive, and it's been an impressive display from this Glenswilly team, although the referee has blown his whistle. I think that's going to be a free out to Glenswilly. Wasn't happy with the challenge that went in there. I actually thought Glenswilly were going to lose possession, but the referee has come to their rescue, so Keelan Kelly will just start the move once again.
Yeah, you're talking about Keelan Kelly. He's just a natural footballer, brilliant footballer, reads the game really well, good pair of hands, and he's doing all that's been asked of him very competently.
Gary Copper McFadden, no real panic with McFadden. He's happy enough just to feed the ball back to Jake Kelly and Glenswilly. All of a sudden they're finding a wee bit of room up in the forward line, a wee bit more room than they had been.
They certainly are, yeah, and I suppose Naomh Conaill now have to throw caution to the wind and throw bodies at it, so they have, and they are leaving gaps behind, and that was very evident from Owen Scott's second goal there anyway, because he was left totally inside, a wee bit of a backdoor cut, left totally inside, and be able to stick the ball in the back of the net.
Gilday was the man that was fed possession up there in the corner, but again Glenswilly coming out to deep, starting the attack again, and they'll come across the Naomh Conaill 45. That's Reid Kelly and the substitute Mark Boner and Marley, the two substitutes combining, but Marley's pass is just a little bit sloppy. They just need to be careful and not allow Naomh Conaill get back into this game. They've conceded a free, and Thompson kicks the ball long out towards Dermot Brick-Malloy. Malloy gets the ball in his hands. He's faced up by Podrick Devine. Shot comes in from distance. They're happy with it. Again, drops short though. I think the man that took that kick over on the far side, the way he was reacting, he thought that was drifting over, but it just dropped short, Brendan, and Glenswilly's right.
Shame alone that took the shot, and he's been actually one of the bright lights, so he has for Naomh Conaill today, but just dropped short, and again dealt brilliantly by Keelan Kelly. Incidentally, I think that's 6 drops short now by Dave Conaill over the course of the game, and while their wide count at 5 isn't too bad, I suppose it's 11 attempts in total that they've come away with nothing. Dermot.
Glenswilly leading by 2-12 to 9 points. Cormac Callaghan penalised on this occasion for over-carrying. In fairness to Callaghan, the options were limited. There weren't too many players over there close at hand to help him out when you need a man coming in support. He didn't have it, and he's penalised on the halfway. It'll be John O'Malley will get things going again for Naomh Conaill, who really need something to happen in these closing stages if they are to take anything from this opening game, the opening championship game of the weekend for them, of this campaign for them. And next up for them is a home fixture next weekend against local rivals Ardra. Here they come in on goal, perhaps a goal chance. Again, a wee bit sloppy in the end up. They weren't able to get their shot away. It was Owen Doherty who was bearing down on goal, but it's going to be brought back for a free in just inside the arc, and Mark Dorian just stands and
you'd have to say Owen Doherty is really trying to bring the fight in the second half, so he is, but it's just not really happening. On that occasion, Glenswilly had enough bodies back, and he was just running into traffic. Very hard to control the ball, the pace he was going at, and wasn't able to get the shot away. So I see they're making a couple of changes here now. Seamus Corcoran coming in, and I think it's Ulton Doherty also coming into the game.
Okay, that's a 2-pointer that went over there for Naomh Conaill. That was a good score from distance, so they lead by 2-12 to 11 points. We've played 24 minutes, and as you say, a couple of changes for Naomh Conaill, so they're running their bench in these closing stages. And Anthony Thompson is one of the players called the show.
So 2 experienced players coming off and 2 going on.
Yeah. Okay, so again, the Glenswilly goalkeeper, Keelan Kelly, and no real rush to take this. Well, in fact, Glenswilly are going to make a change down here in front of us, are they?
They are, yeah. And I'm not sure who's that. We're number 18 now.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one of the issues that we have had tonight on commentary, Brendan, has been the team sheets and really not having the full information here in the commentary area to try and to bring you the information, but hopefully that's something that we can get sorted through during this campaign. But never easy at championship time. Team management are always so keen to hold information close to their chests. Brendan, doesn't really help us though.
Yeah, the third secret of Fatima is that it'd be easier to get out. So, but listen, we know a lot of the players anyway. There's just a couple of these young fellas might be as fair with as other, and we'll figure it out as we go along. Seamus Corcoran on the ball now, again playing it back to Johnny O'Malley. But you have to give great credit to the Glenswilly defence today. They've been resolute, they've been very well structured, they're man to man when they need to be, they're zoning when they need to be, and they're making it really difficult for Naomh Conaill to make any inroads. So they are, and they've restricted them so far to 11 points, and what, less than 5 minutes remaining.
The shot comes in from John O'Malley, again from distance. This one though looks as if it's going wide indeed. It is. There was a big fetch in there from Kieran Gallagher. He took a heavy hit from Gary McFadden as he came down with it, but you need to get Kieran Gallagher more involved, more on the ball, out and around the middle, and impose himself if Glenswilly or if Naomh Conaill are to close in on this Glenswilly lead. As it is, Glenswilly leading by 2-12 to 11 points. Remember, tomorrow the action continues in the senior championship with St Michael's against Sean McCool's down at the bridge. Brendan Kilcoyne will be on commentary for that one. That has a throw-in time of 2 o'clock, and it gets the games up and running at 3 o'clock. Guidore play Glenfin and Maharagallen. St Eunan's play host to Kilcar at O'Donnell Park in Letterkenny from 4, and at the same time Ardra and Airua are at Pearse Memorial Park. That St Eunan's Kilcar game, by the way, is part of Donegal GA TV this weekend as well. Oisín Kelly and Brendan Devaney on commentary there. Keep an eye, by the way, on all the Donegal GA social media channels and indeed Stream Sports pages for more information on the games that are taking place and how you can watch them as well. There's going to be a comprehensive set of fixtures to enjoy in the streaming service this season. We're looking forward to what hopefully will be a hugely enjoyable championship campaign, not just at senior level, intermediate and junior as well. Busy weekend of games up ahead. Here comes AJ Gallagher, feeds a pass. Well, that's a great pass. And here come Naomh Conaill, finds the back of the net through Owen McGettigan. Good tidy finish from Owen McGettigan. So it's 2-12 to 1-11. Around about 2.5 minutes to go in terms of normal time. Good goal there from Owen McGettigan, and perhaps a lifeline for Naomh Conaill.
Perhaps, yeah, make us nervous last couple of minutes now. So Glenswilly looked home and wholesome they did, and again you'd Kevin McGettigan. I think he's an uncle of Owen, playing the ball into Owen. Owen went in and really slid it really well into the corner, and that's the ability that he has. But it was a contentious decision out the field where Glenswilly will have been aggrieved that they were turned over and they didn't get a free. But to be fair to Naomh Conaill, you expect it for them. They really are coming back into it, and it's their young guns. It's I've been impressed by Shea Malone, I've been impressed by Max Campbell, and on that occasion Owen McGettigan really finishing well. So interesting few minutes left, Dermot.
Well, they trailed at half time by 6 points. It was 9 points to 3 at the break to Glenswilly, and now Mark Collum coming into the game. Yeah, at this late stage the lead is down to just 4. So while Naomh Conaill did manage to eat into that Glenswilly lead at times in the second half, the goals from Owen Scott were big moments in this game. There's going to be a free in to Glenswilly. They're trying to take it free, but I'll tell you what, the referee's not going to allow play to continue because there's a man down. He's going to need attention, and Glenswilly shouldn't really be in any panic. They're leading by 2-12 to 1-11 with the clock running down, Brendan, and time perhaps running out for Naomh Conaill.
Certainly, yeah, and that was a brilliant take in the middle of the field. I'm not sure. I think it was Keelan Dunleavy again that might have won it, but I couldn't say that for sure. But what a catch, what a ball to win, because you're only 4 points up. Possession at this stage is crucial. The fact that he's down now will kill the clock another bit and kill whatever bit of momentum that Naomh Conaill had in the game, and it'll probably come down to a wee bit too little too late. Yeah, it is indeed Keelan Dunleavy, and he for me has been absolutely fantastic today for Glenswilly in the middle of the park. He's won ball when it's important. He's kicked scores in the first half when they needed scores, and he's been a really important player for them.
And you've got to give credit to Gary McDade and his backroom team here at Glenswilly. They did their homework done on Naomh Conaill. No surprise there, Brendan. Perhaps there's nobody better than Gary McDade whenever it's trying to work out what way the opposition is going to be set up. But they set their stall out early. The intensity was there. The work rate was there. They made life difficult for Naomh Conaill, certainly in terms of Naomh Conaill's attack and play. And they got the scores that mattered at vital times in that first half in particular.
They did indeed, yeah. And yes, Gary and his management team will be meticulous in their preparations, and they obviously had a lot of homework done. You're waiting for the first round of the championship. I'd say they're planning this since the draw was made, Dermot, and they've been superior in most positions of the field all evening, so they have. And as collectively as a unit is what has impressed me. Their ability to work together, their ability to force turnovers, their ability to win ball when it's needed to be won. They've just been superb all evening, so they have.
Gives young Dahi Gilday, he's fancying his chances. He was thinking about having a pop on goal. He's actually forced to come back because Naomh Conaill had men back, and they've won possession back. So trailing by 4 points going into the last moments of this game. Can Naomh Conaill engineer another score? It is going to be a nervy conclusion to this game for the home side, and I'll tell you what, nobody will be more disappointed than them if they don't take the victory at this late stage. 2-12 to 1-11. Naomh Conaill building from deep. Max Campbell and Shea Malone involved. It's over on the far side with John O'Malley. Another ball in from John O'Malley, trying to pick out big Kieran Gallagher in there. But that's going to be a free out, is it? No, the referee's happy enough to let it go. So Naomh Conaill are able to, well, I'll tell you what, they're guilty then of touching the ball on the ground. And just for a second or two, Glenswilly looked to be in a wee bit of bother.
They certainly did, and we're just been advised here now that there's 5 minutes of injury time. Where all that time came out of, I'm not so sure. But listen, it'll be a nervous 5 minutes for Glenswilly, but again, I think they're just winning enough important ball to be able to hold this out. So Naomh Conaill are obviously going to put them under a lot of pressure, but that's a dangerous ball from the experienced Copper McFadden that's picked up by Brick Malloy in the middle of the park, and now they have a further chance with Max Campbell on the ball, Jeremy.
Yeah, Max Campbell, he's got men outside him, and one of them is Owen. Oh no, it's not Owen McGettigan. I'll tell you what, was that a foul on Owen McGettigan? The referee didn't think so. It's back with Max Campbell off his left foot, and the umpire gives a nod to his colleague there. He waves the white flag. There's just a goal in it, Brendan. 2-12 to 1-12.
Yeah, and really, you go back It was 2-12. They were 9 points ahead, so they were after 20 minutes. But to be fair to Naomh Conaill and what you expect of them, they really are throwing everything at them now in this last number of minutes. And with the young fella again, Max Campbell, who's a fine game, getting up the field to get a score for his team there and bring it back to a one-score game. Interesting couple of minutes ahead, Dermot.
Yeah, well, the clock away to our right indicating that we have played just over 2 minutes of the allotted 5 minutes of injury time. So still a bit of work to do here for Glenswilly. They're leading by the goal, 2-12 to 1-12. Both teams have made a number of changes in the second half. I'm sure a number of players are probably out on their feet at this late stage. It's been a good game, and despite the fact that Glenswilly have been leading almost from first whistle, Naomh Conaill have never really been out of this one. That's a challenge goes in on John O'Malley again. Match referee Mark Durkin of the Gael the club is close at hand. Or Mark Dorian, I should say Mark Dorian, close at hand. He's had a good game, has the match referee, and he gives Naomh Conaill the free. Here they come, building from deep. Shea Malone running at pace, faced off by Oisin Crawford, who stands up strong. Shot comes in from Owen Doherty.
Yeah, which was a free hit anyway, because referee had signalled that there was an advantage for the foul, for the previous foul, and it's an opportunity now to a free from just outside the arc to bring it back to a point game, and there's probably still a minute going, so the possession from the next kick out is going to be absolutely key. So it is.
Yeah. Okay, we've played 33 and a half minutes, so 3.5 minutes of injury time have been played, and 5 minutes of injury time had been indicated by the match officials. And Owen McGettigan, who's had a fine second half, he's the man that got their goal. He's also kicked a number of good scores. And here he comes, right-footed from outside the arc, and that one looks good. It's curled on the wind. It's up and over the bar with some degree of comfort, and that's another 2-pointer. So it's now Glenswilly 2-12, Naomh Conaill 1 goal and 14. That's 18 points to 17. We've got a minute to go of the injury time.
Yeah, certainly pressure kick from Owen McGettigan, and it didn't show on him. He just stroked it over the bar with consummate ease. So he did, Dermot, and really brings it back to a 1-point game. Glenswilly are sweating to see this one out. Possession huge here, and won by the big man Kieran Gallagher.
Yeah, he came back for that kick out, and he's won possession. He did his job. He trots over halfway, but way up ahead Naomh Conaill are attacking down the right hand side, and the experienced Naomh Conaill team, we did say that they weren't out of this game. Shea Malone feeds the ball over to Owen Doherty. He's a man that can kick a score whenever the challenge is put to him, but he's forced to go back. That's McGettigan's there. Pass inside from McGettigan to Shea Malone. That's John O'Malley. Glenswilly are working hard, but there's an opportunity for Naomh Conaill to draw the team's level. Good goalkeeping again. Keelan Kelly, what a fetch under his crossbar. That one just dropped at the last moment or two, and Keelan Kelly caught it high above his head, and that's the final piece of action and what's been a hugely enjoyable championship encounter here at Park Naomh Columba. And in the end, Glenswilly just about managed to hold on to take the opening night win on a scoreline of 2-12 to 1-14. That's a 1-point victory for Gary McDade's side here in front of a big crowd at Park Naomh Columba. Very enjoyable, Brendan. It was right down to the wire at the end. You did say that Naomh Conaill had the ability to get those late scores to make it a nervy conclusion, and that's exactly the way it worked out.
Yeah, they really threw everything at it, so they did, and led by Owen McGettigan inside getting the scores, and Max Campbell driving forward, and they'll be disappointed that they didn't come away. But I think when they look at it in reflection, they'll realise that they didn't do enough early enough in the game, and they left themselves with a huge mountain to climb with 10 minutes remaining, been 9 points in arrears at that stage, so they did. So brave effort for them to get back into it, but huge performance from Glenswilly. They'll be delighted to get 2 points on the board early at this early stage, so they will. And they've some huge performance throughout the field. I thought Keelan Kelly was superb in goals. His handling was absolutely brilliant, and even taking that last attempt from just under the crossbar from I think it was it Max Campbell or Shea Malone actually that took it, and he took it comfortably. Now I do think that he did maybe pull something when he came down. He looked very tight. He made a pull of a hamstring when he came down, but he was absolutely brilliant in goals for Glenswilly today. And defensively, as a unit, they were so solid. So they were particularly, for the first 50 minutes of the game, so solid. So they were brilliant covering players, getting contact on man in possession, and really forcing Naomh Conaill into unnecessary turnovers. And then that man Keelan Dunleavy was absolutely fantastic in the middle of the field, ably assisted by Jamie McCauley, and also by Mark Boner and Kevin Marley when they came into the game, made a huge impact. So they did for Glenswilly. And of course that man up front, Owen Scott, 2 goals from play, absolutely brilliant. So and stuck the two of them brilliant. He didn't get an awful lot of ball apart from that, had a couple of maybe wayward shots in the first half, but by God did he take them 2 opportunities when they came his way. From a Naomh Conaill point of view, they'll look at this as a game that they probably left too late to come at. They had some really good performances across the field, but they just left it that bit too late, and Shane Malone's shot was unlucky not to maybe get them a draw. But I think on the balance of play that Glenswilly deserved to get the win today, so they did. And it was the Naomh Conaill really young guns, the likes of Max Campbell, that drove forward. Shane Malone was really good, Owen Gettigan particularly later in the game, and Oren Doherty really took the game by the scruff of the neck in the second half to drive at that Glenswilly defence. And Leo and the more experienced players were trying to make a difference too, but they just couldn't find ways. And you just look at the wide count and the drop short count. I think Glenswilly had 2 wides over the course of the game. Naomh Conaill dropped 7 wide and they had 6 wide, so that's 13 attempts that they came away with nothing. I'm sure that's something that Martin Regan and his management team will be looking at. Their efficiency when they have possession needs to be better at this level, and they'll be disappointed leaving. We said before the game, Dermot, it's not the end of the world. If win or lose tonight, it's not the be all and end all, but you always prefer part of a team to get the win and to get the 2 points on the bag and to get them good and early.
Yep, and before I asked you for your man of the match as well, Brendan, it's worth remembering Naomh Conaill do have players to come back into their side. It was interesting tonight when you look back and you sum this game up. Perhaps the damage was done in that first half because they trailed by 9 points to 3. The fact that they only managed 3 scores in that first half suggested that they were struggling in front of goal. Okay, they did manage to turn things around in the second half and set up that grandstand finish, but as you say, they just didn't have enough to get back on level terms, and it was Glenswilly who hung on at the end. And I'd imagine, Brendan, some very, very good individual performances out there tonight, and selecting a man of the match might not be an easy task.
No, it wasn't an easy task, and I went through names there. A lot of players, that played really well across the field. I think, Glenswilly deserving winners on the night, and for me, the man of the match was that man in the middle of the park, Keelan Dunleavy. I know it was 4 or 5 points he kicked tonight, and he was absolutely superb. He stroked over 45 at one stage, but to me it was his winning ball at crucial times in that middle third of the field that really made the difference and gave a foothold in the game to Glenswilly. And he was obviously able to assist it all over the field by some great performances, but to me he was the outstanding player on the pitch this evening, so he was, Dermot.
Okay, thank you, Brendan Kilcoyne. As both sets of players are out on the pitch in front of us just doing their cool down, the Naomh Conaill players are in a huddle away to our right hand side, and some after match words from their manager Martin Regan. We'll be back with some reaction and more analysis shortly, but the full-time score here at Park Naomh Columba for now is Glenswilly 2 goals and 12 points, Naomh Conaill 1 goal and 14 points.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we cater for everyone, from top sporting athletes to relaxed casual sporting individuals and everyone in between. We also provide a large range of teamwear services and cater for schools and clubs. Orders can be customised to your specification to suit your individual needs. From clothing to equipment, we've got you covered. At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we cater.
Ball comes in, and they like the look of that. Just a slip there from Dahi Gilday, but he still manages to feed the ball back off to it's Gary Copper McFadden sitting over on the left hand side. Ball goes in as far as Keelan Dunleavy off his left foot. He likes the look of it. It's all the way over the black spot for Oren Doherty. Instead he goes to Shea Malone, and off the outside of his right foot he manages to just dink it over. He is taking on the duties of hitting these 45s and long distance frees. I think he might have pushed that one a wee bit to the right block. And again, a busy programme of fixtures tomorrow as Gary McFadden sends that free up and over the bar, and he get an effort on goal. He's got players outside him. There's an opportunity perhaps for Dahi Gilday. It ends up going back to Podrick Devine, and that one half of the first half to go. Can the engineer score? That's a good effort.
That's
comes
a
in
brilliant
from
kick
Brendan
from Brendan
McDowell.
Yeah,
brilliant
kick.
off the left foot.
Yeah, and even looking at games, watching a couple of games from Mayo yesterday evening too, Jeremy, then you're not seeing the big scores that you saw again, Jack, today. You know, they're just not as accurate or not as pinpoint as you would expect from them. And I say that, and Oran Doherty kicks up all over and that.
Cheer Conaill Park by 12 points tonight. We'll confirm that score anyway. Naomh Conaill are in on goal, perhaps. Opportunity shot comes in. It's driven over the bar.
And so he's going to be a big loss, so he is.
Okay, so Mark Boner is on, and he is a quality player. Mark Boner, I've seen him at club or at senior level and league games over the last couple of seasons. Shot comes in, and a wee bit further over to the right hand side. Anyway, here comes Owen McGettigan. There's a hush around Parkneave Columba as this one is sent over. Yeah, that's Dahi Gilday, helped out by Padraig Devine.
And Reid Kelly kicks a really good score.
And Padraig Devine's ball. Glenswilly in no real rush to pump it in as the shot comes in from Kevin Dunleavy. Yeah.
Obviously isn't a natural keeper, and Owen was going to have a quick pot, or he was pretending he was going to have a quick pot, but anyway, simple tap over free for Dermot Malloy.
That's a good pass. It was a dangerous pass to make, but it's good. It's worked out. The shot comes in, and that one's over the bar. That's a long.
Foot of it, so he has, but on that occasion just tailed off wide him, and you know, Naomh Conaill really do need to get 2-pointer or something to get themselves back into this game and to give them a bit of a chance.
I'll tell you what, Glenswilly could be in here. They're bearing down on goal. And it's that man Aguilo and Scott.
What a finish.
Hugely enjoyable championship campaign, not just at senior level, intermediate and junior as well. Busy weekend of games up ahead. Here comes AJ Gallagher, feeds a pass. Well, that's a great pass. And here come Naomh Conaill, finds the back of the net through Owen McGettigan. Was that a foul? No, McGettigan. The referee didn't think so. It's back with Max Campbell off his left foot, and the umpire gives a nod to his arc. And that one looks good. It's curled on the wind. It's up and over the bar with some degree of comfort, and that's another 2-pointer.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we cater for everyone, from top sporting athletes to relaxed casual sporting individuals and everyone in between. We also provide a large range of teamwear services and cater for schools and clubs. Orders can be customised to your specification to suit your individual needs. From clothing to equipment, we've got you covered.
Jared McFadden.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we cater for everyone, from top sporting athletes to relaxed casual sporting individuals and everyone in between. We also provide a large range of teamwear services and cater for schools and clubs. Orders can be customised to your specification to suit your individual needs. From clothing to equipment, we've got you covered.
We're joined now by Gary McDade, a very happy Glenswilly manager to get over the line, but you possibly made hard work of it maybe in the end up. Gary, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, relieved probably is the big one, Sinead, you know, and to come in here, I suppose, this evening and face Glenties who've dominated club football along with Units for the last 20 years, and we haven't beaten them ourselves in championships since 2014, I think. So that's 11 years, so it was huge for us to try and maybe build a wee bit of belief, that we can compete, and we showed for long stages there during this evening that we could compete with them. But listen, let's put it into perspective. At the end of the day, it's a group game, them boys are going to be the benchmark, so they are for the rest of this championship. Naomh Conaill.
You've both panels of players to come back. I have to ask the question, but you don't have to answer it. When do you think we might see one Mr. Michael Murphy on the pitch in Glenswilly?
He'll be back from holidays now next week, so we also will reassess then to see where he's at and go from there going forward.
So you have an away game next week, which has obviously been played in the centre in Convoy. So how will you be broaching that one now during the week?
Yeah, well, I suppose the big thing tomorrow is just recovery. We'll be meeting up tomorrow and get a bit of recovery done, and try and maybe get around a few of the grounds tomorrow, spread ourselves out and see what we can watch, and take it from there, and probably meet up again on Monday or Tuesday after this. But it's fantastic, I suppose, like for the work that yourself and the rest of the board have done to make sure that these games are streamed, because this is our golden nugget. The senior championships are a golden nugget here in Donegal, so it is. And what you've done this evening, I managed to watch 5 minutes or so of the tournament games so did earlier, and the quality of the stream has been outstanding, so it is, and it's really, really good, so fair play to you.
Thanks very much. We actually weren't expecting that, but we do appreciate it, and thank you very much for joining us and for your hospitality this evening. Right, thanks, Gary. So that wraps up our second game of today. This has been our first day of streaming for 2025, and you can join us again tomorrow. We will be showing Naomh Conaill versus Sean McCool's, followed by St Eunan's when they host Kilcartha in Letterkenny. So thank you for everyone who's joined us today. We appreciate it. Take care.